So let me tell you a story. That's true in every detail. So once upon a time in my life, which if I did not live it, I probably wouldn't believe it. But those of you who I'm not prone to lying about reality. So there's a guy. I gave him the Gospel of Mark. Now this guy lived with a midget and her husband. The midget and her husband were pretty good friends. And they became better friends after this. But I gave him the Gospel of Mark, and he called me up and said, it's not working. So I had recently written a story, which I have 9 zillion copies of this story. And I brought it over to him. Now, what it's about is that the guy that tried to save a girl's life didn't save her life. And this is done by design so that the guy would always try harder. He had this one failure in his life, in his training, which was a test, and no one ever beats the test. Because if they beat the test, then they become cocky. So anyway, so I take him this story. I read him this story. He flips out because he thought he was going to beat the test. Now from that point, the next day, I take off on a journey for the midget. And this is a healthy journey. It's not an unhealthy journey. But on the way back, and we knew that this journey was probably going to take me an entire full day, maybe a day and a half. And so there was no rush. And on the way back, I see a person talking to another person, and I understand that the person that the other person is, the person that's talking to the other person, that the other person is los otros. Okay, they're not good people. And so after the other person leaves, I go up and make my acquaintance. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Wow. And they're like, well, not they, but he is like, wow, you need to come back to my house because you got a long little journey in front of you to make it back to the midget and her husband. These are dear friends. And so I say, all right, why not? You know, like, yeah, I could come back tonight, I could come back tomorrow, it's all good. And so I go back with this guy to his place, and while I'm there, I say, you know, I got this big giant feeling that we should get out of here, out of your house, because your house is about to be haunted. And they say, oh no, we're spiritually protected. But they are not of the same spiritual persuasion as me. And then the door gets kicked in. And these men enter. It's a home invasion. And I get kicked in my back. I still got a boot scar, etc., etc. There's a girl and 2 guys that live in this apartment. There are 3 guys that are doing the actual invasion. I happen to be bonus meat in the place, which is consternation for all of them because they are so not expecting a witness. So there is a whole lot of being beat up going on while this is happening. And, well, the beating up is going on. I have a gun in my mouth. And I did not put the gun in my mouth. Someone else, who I actually met later on in life, like a year and a half later, and we talked about it. That's a whole other story. But he shoved a gun. I'm sucking on the barrel of this gun. It's a Mini 14. And, but I am sucking the barrel of this gun. And they're all taking turns raping the girl that lived there. These guys that busted in and beat up the other 2 guys that lived there and the girl that lived there. And they're raping the girl. And I had this gun in my mouth. And so then, one of the other 2 guys is done. And he's the guy that's got the beef with these people. Which is why they are doing this invasion. And so he comes out and he's like, I don't know who that guy is. So they pull a barrel out of my mouth. And then the guy that was holding the barrel, he goes to take his turn at raping the girl. And the guy that comes out and says, I don't know who he is, kicks me out with my backpack. Yay! Right? I'm all like, I'm out of the house. No, that's not what happened at all. No. So he's the one that continues to hold the gun in my mouth and to keep my silent as they continue to extraordinarily assault. To my horror, not my dread, to my horror, break people's arms and jaws. But I am just sucking on the barrel of a gun. And so they tell me that they are righteous in this rape and assault because one of the guys there had gone through, because one of the guys there had gone through this other guy's bag that was coordinating the assault. And so they were righteous and they deserved these rewards. This is true. I'm not making this up. This is absolutely a huge, gargantuan thing that affected my life. And my thought processes and everything else. Because I was into helping out people at this particular point, and so this was put to the test. So then they robbed the place and they took everything out of it that had any potential value, and I no longer had a gun in my mouth, and for which I was grateful. And so then there's a guy with a broken jaw, and his jaw is slack. It's so broken. His jaw is hanging off of. Yes. And another guy, his arm is so broken, it's swinging free. And the girl is really thoroughly raped. Not she had a sexual encounter with 3 men. But she is thoroughly raped. And there's me. And so then they decide, in their broken condition, that I was in collusion to put them all at ease with my helpful spirit, that to put them at ease so they were not on guard when these cats came busting in their place. Now these cats, I just want to segue here for a second. They were hooked up. This is before Bluetooth. This is before cell phones. But they were hooked up with headsets and transmitters to CB. And they were in contact with people guarding the parking lot who also helped take away the goods. This was not a small operation, which I stumbled upon by being nice. And so, guy with a broken jaw and the girl that got raped, they're a couple. Guy with a broken arm actually has a house that he lives at. So, the people that invaded, they told us to lay low for a half an hour, no joke, etc., etc., etc. But 20 minutes later, I'm walking with the guy with the broken arm back to his place because they need medical attention, and phones being ripped out of walls don't work. And they needed medical attention, and so we needed to go back to guy with broken arm house. Now, this dude was paranoid after I've been in all this massive help, but I mean, duck, goose, but I couldn't stop the rest of it. You got a gun, you're sucking on the barrel of a gun, sucking on it, inside your mouth, your teeth are on a barrel of a gun. You may not have any clue what I'm talking about. It is hell. It's not earthly pleasure. It's not a metaphor. And so then he gets all paranoid when I get him to his house that I'm leading them to his house so that they can then rob his house. And so I part company. I'm like, dude, wow, I can't put up with that. I'm very sorry you have a broken arm. I'm trying, because I got basic skills in first aid, and I'm trying to help him out. So then, it takes me another 6 hours or some ridiculously insane long time to walk a 4-mile walk, but I'm paranoid myself because he was paranoid that they were gonna duck. And so I make it back, and I deliver a second Gospel of Mark. This is from a particular man's house that I helped overcome addiction to meth. And so he went from being a slave to meth. To not being a slave to meth. That's the easiest way to put it. That actually took me 18 months of me hanging out with him. Pretty tempted to say his name, but I don't know where he's at right now. And that's a reality of what really happened. That's one night. Well, actually, I guess that's 2 nights. Because the previous night was the guy saying that the Gospel of Mark didn't offer salvation. And then I had him read the story about how sometimes you need to be let down so that you can outperform yourself. And then I went to go get another booklet because Gary, well, alright, I'll say his first name, because Gary kept the Gospel of Mark separate from the Bible. He just kept the Gospel of Mark in his place for no particular reason. And so that was, well, he trusted me, you know. It really was 2 pregnancies to get him straight, 18 months.